would not have been my advice for Erika in a stage of grieving to go from being the widow to being the CEO and the chairman of the company. If I was running the company, I would have said, let's put in place an interim CEO, right? Someone below Justin Strife, I think, was the COO. I would have put in an interim CEO and allowed people to figure things out.
Candace Owens has just opened a whole new file on Erika Kirk, and if what she's suggesting is even half true, this could be extremely shady and dangerous for Erika's image. Candace is now openly claiming that Erika Kirk is not who you think she is, and not who you've been told she is. According to Candace, the entire backstory Erika has presented about her family might be fabricated. She's implying that Erika doesn't actually belong to the family she's attached herself to publicly, and that she isn't really the biological daughter of Lori Frantzve, the way the polished narrative suggests. And it doesn't stop there. Even Lori Frantzve's own past is suddenly under a microscope. Basic details that should be simple, where she's really from, what her background actually is, are now being questioned. Some people online are pointing out that the information floating around about Lori feels inconsistent, like pieces from different stories stitched together. There are claims that not all the data lines up, that things like origins, timelines, and family ties don't fully match the picture Erika has been selling for years. In other words, critics are saying it looks staged, like certain documents, names, or details may have been carefully arranged to create a specific image. So now, instead of just asking what Erika did, people are asking a much bigger question. If the family story is fake, if the identity is curated and cleaned up, then who do you really think Erika Kirk is?
Erika Kirk's a honeypot, and I got the proof.
Every Saturday, so he would turn his phone off to honor the Sabbath. He would come in, open the junk drawer. Everyone has a junk drawer. Open the junk drawer, said Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom.
Erika Kirk, born Erika Frantzve, won Miss USA pageant November 2011 on her 23rd birthday, which qualified her to represent Arizona in the 2012 Miss USA national competition at the time.
Here's a name that keeps coming up. A woman who was supposed to be grieving, a widow, an influencer, someone the public was told to trust, but a military whistleblower says otherwise. He claims with 95 to 99% certainty that Erika Kirk is a military plant, that she was involved in secret operations, that one of those operations touched the highest levels of Charlie's own organization. And if he's right, then Charlie's assassination wasn't chaos. It was planned. Candace has been saying this for months. Now, someone from the inside is saying it too. For a long time, the idea that Erika might have been a honeypot sounded like conspiracy, something whispered in comment sections, something dismissed.
Saw that the girl in the ponytail matches the description of Erika Kirk. What percentage would you put that?
Those are really rare eyes. That's 95 to 99%.
But when a man comes forward under oath, when he names names and places dates, the question stops being whether it's possible. The question becomes, who was she really working for? But before we ask that, we need to understand how this information even surfaced. Because it didn't start with a viral clip. It didn't come from Reddit theories or anonymous posts. It started with a private message. A man reached out. He said he had first-hand knowledge. He said it was tied directly to Charlie's death. And according to Candace, he wasn't looking for attention. He was trying to warn her. He said what he knew would change everything about Erika's role, that it explained why certain aspects of the assassination never added up. And Candace listened. She didn't just take his word for it. She verified his background. She checked his service history. She cross-examined his story until she was convinced he was legitimate. And then she gave him a platform, knowing it could cost her, knowing the backlash would be immediate. Because what he told her was this: he had traveled to Fort Huachuca not for anything dramatic. He was there to resolve unresolved military service issues from decades earlier, routine paperwork. But when he arrived, something felt off. The tension was noticeable. Conversations stopped when he walked past. People avoided eye contact, and he realized quickly that a high-level meeting was taking place. Not unusual by itself. Fort Huachuca hosts meetings. Military officials, congressmen, stakeholders. It happens.
And they begin what becomes a 7-hour interrogation. They think he's a spy. How did you rumble this meeting? How did you know this meeting was taking place? He's being asked a bunch of questions. They were putting pressure on him.
But certain faces stood out. Faces he didn't recognize at the time. Faces that became unforgettable after Charlie's death. He didn't understand the significance until later, until the assassination, until Candace started naming names publicly, and he realized he'd seen some of those same people in that room. And that's when it stopped being a coincidence, because according to the whistleblower, Erika Kirk was there, not someone who looked like her, not a distant resemblance. It was her, 95 to 99% certain, and that changed everything.
He was joined, and joined by a female that you can definitely tell when, how do you put it, when people are well off and they're dressing down. She was definitely dressing down, and it was very well kept. The one thing I noticed about the woman that really stuck out to me was her eyes.
Erika Kirk was not supposed to be anywhere near a secured military meeting. She was a public housewife, an influencer, a widow-to-be, but she was there the day before Charlie's assassination. So the question becomes unavoidable. Why? Why would someone like her be inside a high-level military environment at that exact moment? At first, it seemed impossible until people started looking closer at her past, because Erika didn't rise through random influencer circles. Her family had long-standing ties to the security world, connections with the FBI, Homeland Security. She grew up inside proximity to power. Her network expanded into political circles, security networks, people without digital footprints. These aren't the connections of someone who stumbled into influence. These are the connections of someone who was positioned. And once she was linked to that military meeting, nothing about her life felt random anymore. Not how she met Charlie, not how quickly she became embedded in his world, not how she was protected after his death. The narrative had always been simple. She was a conservative influencer who fell in love with a rising political star. But what if the real story was different? What if she was placed in his orbit deliberately? Charlie Kirk built one of the most powerful youth conservative movements in the country. TPUSA had influence. It had reach. It shaped conversations. It had access to major donors and high-level Republican strategy. And Erika had a front row seat to all of it. But here's the detail that makes it worse. The whistleblower didn't just see Erika at that meeting. She wasn't alone. She was there with Brian Harpole, Charlie's head of security.
So you had to put it at a percentage that you saw that the girl in the ponytail matches the description of Erika Kirk. What percentage would you put that at?
Those are really rare eyes. That's 95 to 99%. I can't imagine somebody else.
The man responsible for keeping him safe, one of the first people to speak publicly after the assassination. And what did Harpole say? He blamed the Utah Valley Police. He pointed to security failures. He sounded outraged. But think about that for a moment. Charlie didn't trust strangers with his safety. TPUSA was built on loyalty, on trust. His inner circle was vetted, tested, personally trusted. If there were credible threats, options existed. Delay the event, reroute the venue, pull Charlie from the stage, warn him directly. None of that happened. Harpole admitted the environment was compromised, but the responsibility seemed to stop with local police, as if the breakdown happened beyond his control. Now, if the whistleblower is right, if Harpole attended a military meeting with Erika the day before Charlie was killed, then his public outrage starts to look like something else. Damage control, performance. A man who knew exactly what was going to happen, playing the part of the devastated security chief who couldn't save his boss. So what was discussed in that room? Why was Charlie's head of security there? And if Erika was present, what role was she playing as Charlie walked toward his final speech? Were they being briefed on the operation? Were they coordinating logistics? Were they receiving final instructions on how to respond afterward? Because the timing matters. This wasn't a meeting weeks or months before. This was the day before. Hours before Charlie stepped onto that stage. And after the whistleblower went public, other details started standing out. Details that had been overlooked in the chaos. Details that suddenly felt deliberate. Erika gave an interview to the New York Times. She said she she learned Charlie was dead from Mikey McCoy minutes after the shooting. But here's the problem. Authorities hadn't confirmed the victim yet. Charlie wasn't pronounced dead until later at the hospital. So how did she know? How did she know with such certainty so quickly that the person killed wasn't just injured, that it wasn't a mistake, that Charlie was gone? People in crisis don't speak with that kind of precision unless they already know the outcome. Her certainty raised red flags, and people started asking, what else doesn't line up? They looked at her personal background, and what they found was strange. Despite being public-facing for over a decade, there's almost no verified information about her family. After her mother, the trail goes cold. Her father exists mostly as a name, no consistent photos, no records. In an era where everyone leaves traces online, where family photos surface on social media, where professional histories are documented, Erika's family is a void. Entire sections of her history appear erased, not missing, erased. There's a difference. And when you combine that with the whistleblower testimony, with the military meeting, with the timeline inconsistencies, the pattern stops feeling random. The questions became darker. What did she know? What was she told before Charlie died? And who protected her afterward? Because in the immediate aftermath, while others scrambled for answers, Erika remained insulated, shielded from scrutiny. Her interviews were carefully controlled. Her statements were measured. And gradually, she faded from the spotlight. The whistleblower's clearest realization didn't come from what he saw in that meeting. It came from how the military treated him afterward. Once personnel noticed him nearby, their tone shifted. He was detained, interrogated for hours, pressed about people he'd never met. Why was he there? Who sent him? What did he see? The reaction didn't match the situation. At the time, it made no sense.
The head of security there, he was one of the people walking out with the congressman. Now, how would I know that? I just have a gift for recognizing people.
After Charlie's death, it made perfect sense because the meeting wasn't routine. Erika's presence wasn't accidental, and the controlled response afterward wasn't paranoia. It was containment. They needed to know if he'd seen too much, if he understood what he'd witnessed, and when they realized he didn't, they let him go. But they monitored him, and when he started talking, when he reached out to Candace, when he went public, the consequences were immediate because after the assassination, information was locked down, timelines blurred, faces disappeared from the internet, and Erika remained protected, while others grew silent. The whistleblower spoke as someone who realized too late that he had seen something forbidden, something that may have cost Charlie his life. He wasn't supposed to be there, but he was, and he saw her.
Yeah, a couple more captains came around the corners and they escorted me way out. They wanted to take me out of the building. I thought I was getting arrested, and I didn't know what I had done wrong.
So the final question isn't whether Erika was grieving, it's whether she was ever telling the truth at all. Because if she was a plant, if she was placed in Charlie's life with a specific purpose, then Charlie was never safe. Not in his own home, not in his own organization, not with the people he trusted most. And whoever approved that meeting, whoever gave the orders, whoever coordinated the operation, is still out there, still in positions of power, still making decisions, still watching, silently, waiting to see if anyone else connects the dots.